It's so emotional for me. What they did was so unethical. It was so amoral.
People split us up and studied us like lab rats.
When the Louise Wise Adoption Agency was going out of business in 2004, one of the women who was working there was dying from cancer and couldn't go to her grave without sharing some life-changing information with some of the adopted children.
She couldn't go to her grave without letting some of these kids know that they had identical twins.
And she said, well, I have some news for you. You have an identical twin brother. And I was like, I literally almost drove off the road. Like, it's not something you ever expect to hear.
It was discovered that Howard and Doug, along with numerous other twins and triplets from the same adoption agency, were part of a secret psychological study to see the differences of nature versus nurture, all without the knowledge of their adoptive parents and families. 2 years after receiving the mind-blowing news, Howard Burek was finally meeting his long-lost identical twin brother, Doug Rausch.
I think we hit it off, right away, and instant connection. I felt like I knew Doug my whole life.
When the twins met after a lifetime living apart without knowing of each other's existence, along with their wives, they noticed some interesting similarities and patterns between them.
He is very laid back.
Doug is very laid back.
Howard's ideal date night is going to a 5-star restaurant and getting prime rib.
Steak is his favorite food.
We live parallel lives, essentially.
You both have 3 kids.
Yeah.
You guys both coach hockey?
Yeah.
It wasn't long until both Howard and Doug recalled some vague and strange memories of strangers visiting them in their childhood.
People would come to my house and they would film me and they would make me ride my bike and they would, do this test and that test.
What did they ask you to do?
All kinds of psychology tests and drawing and just looking at things. And I was kind of a shy kid, and you had people asking you questions and asking you to do stuff. It was a little bit horrifying.
Dr. Peter Neubauer, the psychiatrist heading the study, was interested in finding out to what extent are we products of our genes and to what extent are we products of our environment. Adoptive parents were told the study was to simply monitor their child's developmental progression.
They said that it was backed by the child development literature at the time, but I can tell you honestly, there is no such child development literature in existence. They never named studies.
They decided to separate these twins and triplets, place them in different families, and never told the families that they had adopted a half of a twin set or a third of a triplet set.
People split us up and studied us like lab rats.
That we were actually used basically as human guinea pigs for their research.
The pairs who discovered they had a twin were plagued with mixed emotions of happiness to discover their other halves, and then anger, sadness, and regret that they had been forcibly separated and made to live apart. Their parents were outraged and insisted they would have raised a complete set of twins or triplets if they were given the chance.